Mazz's Tears.
Those are the tears of the clown.
Mazz's Tears.
The second tier.
Hold on, let me get my pen.
Mazz's Tears.
Dallas, Buffalo, Tennessee.
Mazz's Tears.
Third tier.
Okay, here we go. Hold on, let me get my pen.
Mazz's Tears.
Tears. All right, it's that time of the week. Mazz's Tears. Now, when it comes to auto dealers, the Bernardi Automotive Group always finishes top tier. They finish at the top of the top tier with Mazz because they sell and service Acura, Audi, Honda, Nissan, Toyota, and Volvo vehicles. Bernardi for now, Bernardi for life. Find them now at BernardiAutogroup.com. It's all a long way of saying that Mazz's Tears is brought to you by the Bernardi Automotive Group. Again, Mazz, this week's topic.
This week's topic is players, coaches that you would fear or have feared the most in a big game or, big series, whatever. Just a big competition. Who are the opponents that you would fear or have feared the most? We got pretty close to 25 names on this list. I wanted to get to 25. I couldn't quite get there, so we'll rely on the listeners to fill in the last couple if we can.
As they always do.
We start with, because inevitably there are ones that we miss. I'm sure there are on this list.
So you were gunning for 25?
I was gunning for 25.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
I don't know if we've ever feared more than... Well, anyway,
okay,
that's a lot to fear.
When we get to the top of this list, there are some guys on tier one that you go, oh, yeah, that one definitely.
Yeah.
Like there are some guys that you legitimately, we'll start with tier 3.
Okay, let's go.
We'll start with tier 3 as usual, and we'll start with Luka Doncic. And I say Doncic on
tier 3?
This is why. Because he actually hasn't faced you yet in a big game. So I think this guy has the potential to be tier 1. But with the championship on the line right now, he's a little bit of an unknown. But you should fear this guy. He's a killer, as they say in the NBA. He's an absolute killer. Andrew Toney is the guy I was talking about earlier with the Sixers last week. I had him on the villains list. He wasn't really a villain. He was more of a guy that scared you in the big games.
But he was a Boston Strangler, right?
He was. He was the Boston Strangler. He killed the Celtics in some big games and became a guy that, frankly, the Celtics got Dennis Johnson to stop Andrew Toney. That was the whole logic for getting Dennis Johnson.
Got it.
Jimmy Butler, tier 3. I would have put him on tier 2, but we didn't have enough room on the graphic.
So something had to give.
He's here by default.
Right, so again, Vinny has a maximum of 12 that can be in any tier. So we had to put Butler in tier 3. And Murray brought this one up for tier 3. I think it's a good one. Braden Holtby of the Washington Capitals terrorized the Bruins in the playoffs.
His record against the Bruins all time, 18-5-0, and there was that stretch there. Anytime they were going up against him and the Capitals, I'm like, well, they're going to lose 1-0. There was like a stretch of games like this guy was just lights out against the Bruins.
They did. They went through a stretch where they couldn't beat him.
Good one.
Okay, they couldn't beat him. Now, I will say that the people in tier 1 typically are people that have to have beaten you for championships or over long periods of time. Okay, so now we'll start with tier 2, and these are all absolutely worthy adversaries. Patrick Roy, the goaltender for the Canadiens. Dave Stewart, Oakland A's right-hander who used to beat Roger Clemens routinely.
Filthy.
Patrick Roy is tier 2.
There's a reason.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's a reason. Matt Tkachuk, who's kicked the Bruins' ass the last couple of seasons.
Put him on the list.
Peyton Manning, tier 2. Lots of Patriots fans would tell you that they owned Peyton Manning.
Wrong.
I would tell you that Bill Belichick was afraid enough of Peyton Manning to go for it on 4th and 2.
Peyton Manning beat you 3 times to go to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
3.
The line
Correct.
of demarcation's 06. That AFC Championship game that the Patriots lose, Peyton Manning and the Colts come back, that's where it starts.
No one has any recollection. He also did it twice in Denver.
So do you
Right.
think he should be
To
tier
go
1?
to the Super Bowl.
No, I have him tier 2. I think tier 2 is appropriate.
I'll tell you, Boston, no, because Boston's a bunch of idiot. No, he sucked. Even though he beat you to go to the Super Bowl 3 times. So you should have feared him, but you didn't.
He was totally considered for tier 1. They beat him a couple of times, and a lot of fans thought Belichick had his number. So I went tier 2, but debatable.
Understood.
Kobe Bryant, tier 2.
Really?
Yep. Kobe didn't scare me as much. Again, that first year in the playoffs, Game 6 in the finals.
He quit.
He did. He quit.
Yeah.
He quit. That's a big strike against him. Don Shula, I put in tier 2, and I sort of took the Miami Dolphins. In some of these, I took one person to represent a franchise. Don Shula, to me, the Miami Dolphins were terrifying to face for a lot of years. Like you brought up some of the defenses they had against Brady. Even Brady would go down there and lose.
Oh, so like I when I gave you suggestions, I put into one grouping Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Patrick Surtain, and Sam Madison. That Dolphins defense owned the Patriots
At all three levels,
especially down there.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything down there.
And they were post Shula though, weren't they?
That was one stat. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mariano Rivera with the Yankees. Again, you'd say why tier 2? The Red Sox beat him a lot.
I was going to say, the Red Sox kind of owned him.
They had good success against him. That doesn't mean you didn't fear him when he came in the game, though. Patrick Mahomes.
Bingo.
Andy Reid.
Yes.
Mike Shanahan, who I think was like 9-2 against the Patriots or
That's
something.
right.
Yep.
LeBron James, who beat the Celtics, but also lost to them.
Celtics fans fear LeBron James?
I think they did.
After
certainly.
2012, I think they did.
Yeah, and in 2012, that game coming up here, I remember fearing him. Like, LeBron's going to put his mark on this now, and he did. So, but again, tier 2, not tier 1. You wouldn't put him as an all-time terror in the minds of Boston fans. And Stephen Curry, only because it only happened once. So Curry was a legitimate opponent, a guy to fear, but happened once. It's not like it happened repeatedly. Now, tier 1.
Tier 1 most feared Boston sports opponents.
Okay. Derek Jeter. Put him
Of course you would.
Put him up there. There was no Yankee I feared more in a big spot than Derek Jeter.
Feared or admired?
Both. He was terrifying in clutch spots. Terrifying. Tom Coughlin, coach of the New York Giants, and also the president of the Jacksonville Jaguars when they came in here and almost beat the Patriots.
I remember being mocked by you two jackals. This is going to be a game, that AFC Championship game. And it was, because Coughlin had his fingerprints all over that team.
You tell me, has there ever been a coach who had less fear of Bill Belichick than Tom Coughlin?
No, he was it.
I think he just, and I put Eli Manning on the list too, because I think Eli was one of the few quarterbacks who could beat the Patriots consistently in big games. And in fact, he never lost to him in a big game. Magic Johnson with the Lakers. Obviously, we went back into the 80s and even late 70s here. Magic Johnson was terrifying in those big games. And I think has the best winning percentage all time in combined postseason and regular season.
He does.
I think Magic Johnson's an argument for the second greatest player of all time. Ray Lewis with the Ravens. Those defenses gave Tom Brady hell in the biggest games. They won an AFC championship here in Foxborough. I always felt like the Ravens were never scared of the Patriots because of Ray Lewis. Guy Lafleur and Ken Dryden with the Canadians, sort of two guys from the same team but for different reasons. I forced myself to pick one goalie for tier 1 from Montreal, Dryden or Roy. So I put Dryden on tier 1 and Roy on tier 2.
The Bruins beat Patrick Roy.
The record's 18-18.
Yeah, a couple times they beat it. They got to Roy. They never beat Dryden.
No, never. So that's why I had Roy on tier 2. And Pat Riley, I should have said there were two people on last week's list. Pat Riley was a guy who scared you and still does. When he brings his teams in here, you know you're in for a fight. And even when he's undermanned, he finds a way to keep his teams competitive. He sets a culture. So Riley also a tier 1 guy.
Can I give two glaring omissions in my
Absolutely,
opinion?
by all means.
John Elway should be tier 1, 10-0 all time against the Patriots.
Is that right?
10-0. He never lost to them.
Wow.
It was a guaranteed loss when they faced Elway. I knew, he used to kill me, especially towards the end. And Jorge Posada. You think, like, Jeter was a killer. That era, that rivalry, Jorge Posada was a Red Sox killer. I wouldn't necessarily have him tier 1, but he would be on those tiers.
See, I don't remember.
Oh, God, how do you not? You covered those teams.
Well, so, like, I remember there were guys, so I asked
he killed me.
Did Andy Pettit have good numbers against you, or was it Bernie Williams, or was it Posada? Like, I know there was a guy or two there that always played well against you.
So Jimmy Stewart said Posada and Bernie Williams. Like, I think you could have taken a lot of guys from the Yankees. We had Rivera on there, too. The guy who popped into my head, just as a guy that scared the crap out of me in pitching against the Red Sox, was El Duque. Remember him?
Sure.
El
Duque.
I felt like anytime he took the mound in a big game, the guy was going to pitch great. But I left most of those guys off and just went with Jeter, because Jeter to me was the one, when he came up in a big spot, you couldn't freaking fart if you wanted to, because things were pretty tight down there.
Okay, Tonto. So there you go. Most feared Boston opponents. Luca, tier 3 and rising.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.